The road to the 2020 Summer Olympics runs through Washington, D.C. as the top climbers in the country have gathered in the shadow of the nation's capital at Sport Rock Climbing Centers in Alexandria, Virginia. Sean Bailey is poised to take the next step towards earning a spot on the U.S. overall national team, keeping him on track to possibly represent the United States in Tokyo next year. And Ashima Shirishi hopes to join him as her spot on the women's national team is all but assured. This is the 2019 USA Climbing Sport and Speed Open National Championships. Thanks for being with us tonight, everybody. I'm Sean Woodland, alongside former U.S. national team member Megan Martin. And Megan, the 16 men and women in the sport competition and the 16 men and women left in the speed competition all have a chance to win a national championship, but only a select few have a chance to keep themselves on the road to becoming an Olympian.
Exactly. There are only a few competitors that are really still in the running of getting on that overall national team, which will then qualify them to compete on the World Cup circuit this spring and summer. And that's the only way they'll even have a shot at getting to the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games. And for a lot of these athletes, talks about the Olympics, including climbing, have been going on since they were really little. So it's a big moment to actually be in that time where it's going to happen. And
getting on that U.S. overall national team is not the final step towards getting to the Olympics, but it is a necessary one. And your spot on the team is determined by your position in the points rankings that you earn in these qualifying events. And the top 4 men and top 4 women will be selected for that team. And Sean Bailey looks like he is going to be one of the men on that squad.
Yeah, Sean Bailey is in an amazing position and going into a discipline where he really excels, and he's excelled all weekend. So if he can just climb like he knows how to climb, he should secure a spot on that overall national team at the end of this competition.
Drew Ruana came into the weekend in 4th place in those important standings, and given what he has done so far in this competition, looks like he's got that locked up.
And Drew Ruana is in a great spot as well, because the other men that are competing in the sport final tonight can't really get caught up to him. So as long as he climbs the way he knows how to, he should also make that overall national team.
On the women's side, things are much closer as Margot Hayes is in 4th place. She and Claire Burfine are in the sport final, so Hayes has got to hold off Burfine here in the finals.
So many variables going into the women's competition, and Margot Hayes is going to need a stellar performance, which she is capable of doing. She has won this competition in the past and been on the podium many times and actually topped the final route multiple times in competition. So there is a possibility, if she climbs the way she can, that she could be in that overall.
If Claire Burfine is going to catch her, Burfine is basically going to have to win this competition and get some help in the process.
And as the defending sport climbing national champion, she definitely has the ability to do so. So it's going to be a very exciting competition between both Claire and Margot. We'll just have to see if these athletes can really do what they know how to do and turn it on when they need to.
The men will be up first in front of a packed house here at the Sport Rock Climbing Centers in Alexandria, Virginia, and we will have the finals for you when we return. The 2019 USA Climbing Sport and Speed Open National Championships are brought to you by The North Face, inspiring and enabling exploration since 1966. Just outside the nation's capital, where a national championship will be decided in 2 of the climbing disciplines that will be featured at the 2020 Summer Olympics, sport and speed. And we start with the sport finals. These are the 8 men who earned their way into this portion of the competition after the semifinals, and they will go in reverse order based on the standings after the semifinals. Jesse Grouper had the best score in the semifinals, so he will be going last. The men get just 1 attempt on the final route. The man who gets the highest and scores the most points will be crowned the national champion. And unlike the semifinal round, there are fewer athletes, and unlike the qualifying rounds that you may have seen, they don't get to actually watch each other climb. They're basically going into this blind. They had a brief preview period, but that's it.
Exactly. So the athletes, when they preview their finals route, They can look at the climb together. They can talk about it. They're allowed to touch the start hold. They can't weight it, but they can touch it just to feel it. And then the first climber stays out, and the rest of the climbers go back to the isolation zone, and they can't watch until they're done climbing.
There are 45 scored handholds on the men's final route, and there are 11 clips. A perfect score is 45.11 points. You get a point for every hold you control. The men's route is on the right, and you get 0.01 every time you clip into one of the carabiners hanging from the wall. There are some fractional points that come into play if you don't get to the top, and we'll get into those as we move on. But the bottom line is, the higher you go, the better you do, and the man who gets the highest will win.
And that top hold in that pink box is where you need to get, and then you need to clip that final clip draw, and that confirms that you topped the route and get all those points.
And Charlie Osborne will be up first. He is 5'6". His wingspan is 3 inches longer than his height. You'll see that statistic on all of the climbers. Charlie Osborne on the wall. He has 6 minutes to make his ascent, and he only gets 1 chance.
Making his way through this pretty technical section of the route. Those black volumes that you see him on are a surface area where you can attach other climbing holds to them, and it just kind of changes the angles of the wall without having to have a different wall, basically. So that's kicking them out on the wall a bit more, so it can force a specific kind of climbing.
And these routes have been a worthy challenge for these climbers. In fact, in the semifinal round, nobody got to the top from the men.
Yeah, the routes have been quite difficult and extremely difficult comparatively to some of the previous national sport climbing events, which I think is necessary because there is so much on the line here. As you see right now, Charlie Osborne is just trying to figure out exactly how he wants to get over there. That hold that he just put his left foot on is mostly slippery because it is a dual textured hold, so there is a friction part and a slippery, slick surface.
Charlie Osborne leading things off for the men. 6 minutes to get himself as far as he possibly can, and more than a minute and a half of that is gone.
Charlie Osborne is about to get to one of the more exciting parts of this route. After he makes this clip, he'll have to move his feet up onto the higher black volumes, and then there's going to be a jump that he has to do.
And every route that we've seen so far in this competition has a few big sticking points, and we'll have to see how this plays out, but this looks like this could be the first one.
Yeah, as long as he can figure out a way to get both of his hands into those blue holes that have the little red holds attached to them, which he's kind of trying to figure out which body position is best because he doesn't have the best foot options. And then from here, he'll have to set up for this jump. Still needs to get that left hand up before he can set up for the jump, and here it is.
Osborne eyes that, and he has it with his left hand, just 3 fingers holding him up there, and he will clip in to add 0.01 to his score. And getting the crowd behind him as he's about halfway through his 6-minute window.
Now having to stand on that slippery part of the blue holds, able to get there no problem. Really managed to get through that dynamic section. Now has to go into a more technical finger strength focus section.
And Osborne will slip, and he is off. As Charlie Osborne's climb comes to an end about halfway up. So Osborne, after making this move, asked for a little help from the crowd.
It's really nice when you see the climbers really connect with the crowd. From time to time it'll happen, but obviously they need to be on a pretty good hold to do so, so they don't take too much focus away from what they're actually doing.
We will await Charlie Osborne's official score as he will go over his climb with his judge, as he is doing now, and confirm how many points he's going to be awarded. Again, you get a point for every handhold you controlled. You get 0.01 every time you clip in. And if you don't make it to the top, you can get some fractional points based on where you come off the wall. If you make upward progress before you fall, you get awarded 0.3. If you get your hand on usable surface, you get 0.5.
And it'll be questionable what the judge gives him, because he was kind of moving around, reaching out left to those holds he fell on. So we'll have to wait and see exactly what they decide he got credit for.
That is Dylan Barks, who is awaiting his turn now on this final route. Just 8 men left in the field that started with more than 70.
All right, boys and girls, please welcome
Dylan Barks is getting ready, and he will not be able to turn around and see the wall until his time starts. And Charlie Osborne with a score of 20.56. With 20 handholds, he did get 0.5 for getting his hand on usable space, and he clips in 6 times. Dylan Barks, second man on the wall here in this winner-take-all final. 24 years old, out of Ann Arbor, Michigan, and a wingspan that is 2 inches longer than his 5'9" height.
Dylan with a nice rhythm right out of the start, moving quickly through this technical section. Most of the holds that he's grabbing are dual textured, which means that there are multiple textures on the hold. There is a friction part and then a slippery part. So it's really important to be as efficient as possible with those foot placements. And he's doing a great job in doing so.
Barks is inching his way closer to what is really the first big crux of this route. And it starts with those blue volumes that are up and to his right as he clips in to add 0.01 to his score.
He's approaching that dynamic section where there is a jump required. And then quickly after, you go back into some technical, powerful climbing on bad holds, so you don't have a lot of time to second guess yourself.
And there's the jump, and he makes it. Hanging on with his left hand. Dylan Barks gets right where Charlie Osborne did as well on the previous climb.
Good, Dylan. Come on, keep it coming.
Really nice foot placement there on that slippery part of the blue holds. Now he needs to figure out how to get into these bad crimp holds. Able to do so. Really reading this route well and continuing with a nice rhythm.
Dylan Barks, second man on the wall, moving very well here as he is getting close to halfway up this final route.
You may see that X there where his left hand was, which means he had to clip that draw from that hold.
And Barks is off the wall as he reaches for that next handhold, but may have gotten slightly higher than Charlie Osborne. We'll have Dylan Barks' official score as we roll on here in the final round of the sport climbing. We are through 2 of 8 climbers here in the finals of the 2019 USA Climbing Sport Open National Championships. Both Charlie Osborne and Dylan Barks have made their ascents, and they will hand things off to Xander Waller. As Barks on the right with a score of 25.57. That right now early is the mark to beat, as he beats Charlie Osborne by about 5+ points. Xander Waller, the third man on the wall. Wingspan 6 feet even, 3 inches longer than his height, just 15 years old.
Xander, one of those younger competitors that has done really well on the youth circuit and making a nice entry into that open competition realm. Working his way through this technical section with a lot of confidence, which is really what you want to be doing in a section like this, because the more confident you are early on, the more energy you're able to save by not second-guessing yourself.
He has 6 minutes to get himself as far up that route as he possibly can. Remember, each scored handhold is worth a point, sometimes 2 if they have to get both of their hands on them, and then every time that the climber clips into one of those carabiners, it's worth an additional .01. There you go, the more points you get.
Looking good.
Xander's getting closer to that exciting dynamic section of this route where he has to really commit to a jump. That hold he's grabbing is extremely tiny on top of that blue hold. It's basically just good for one finger. It's what we call a mono. Mono being one.
And this is the first really big crux of this route.
Gonna set up for the jump.
Let's go, man. Come on.
Xander is there and secures that hold with his right hand and holding on with just 4 fingers. And you mentioned it, some of these grips are just so small, you have to be so precise and strong in order to keep yourself on that wall.
Exactly, and going with his right hand, he then had to match, and so he kind of had to release one part of his one hand as he was trying to put the other hand in the hold. So it's a little risky there to go with the right hand versus the left.
Xander Waller, the third man on the wall here, third of 8 competitors in this final round. 15 years old out of Decatur, Georgia, and moving extremely well as he is about halfway up the wall here.
Getting to that hold that has an X, which means he has to clip from there for safety reasons. If he would to move past it and not clip, he would be called down. Working his way, trying to get to a high point. Nice toe hook outright with his right foot that keeps him locked in and able to get control of that Waco hold.
Xander Waller has established the new high point of the 3 competitors who have climbed this route. He will have the score to beat.
Really important on that steep angle to keep your hips in as much as possible, which Xander is doing a great job. Limited feet here, he's gonna have to commit to bumping. Now this is gonna be a pretty big move.
And Waller just can't get there, but he will have the score to beat as he is the man to get the highest so far as we approach the halfway point of this final round.
Doing work in the final round.
Xander Waller is able to get control of that left hand, but not able to set up for the jump well enough, but he currently has the high point, so really nice climbing done there by Xander Waller.
And remember, these men do not get to watch each other climb, and they only had 6 minutes before the competition started to read the route. And Waller will go over his final score with his judge.
How y'all feeling out there?
And he will be the man to beat with 5 competitors left.
You want more action? You're about to get it.
Gets a high five from Dylan Barks, who is the second man on the wall, and Charlie Osborne on the far left was first.
If you don't know his face already, you're about to. This man is a hero on the climbing
It's possible that Xander Waller could have, instead of trying to go dynamic, could have figured out a way to move his feet around and go static. But in those moments, you have to make a decision, and you've already done so many moves. These walls are 60 feet tall, so decision making is key. And you know, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
And right now he seems to be going through what he should have done in order to keep himself on the wall, but still waiting on his official score, but he will be the man to beat.
There he goes.
This is Solomon Barth. He is the 4th competitor on the wall for the men, 21 years old, a 6-foot wingspan, 2 inches longer than his height, out of Northern California.
Solomon placed 3rd at this competition last year, so I'm sure he's looking to make his way back onto the podium. Really smart climbing style. He's very deliberate with his movements and is able to figure out where he needs to rest and where he needs to really punch it to be successful on the route.
Solomon has 6 minutes to get as high as he possibly can on this route.
With these more technical sections, it's important to have a nice combination of quickness but efficiency. So if you need to climb a little bit slower, it's important to make sure you're not rushing your body to go too fast. After this clip, he'll begin to set up for the jump move.
And this is the first really big crux on this route.
Come on, Solomon.
And Solomon is there as he secures that hold of his left hand and will reach up with his right and clip in for an extra 0.01 to his score.
Jumping to that Waco hold gives you the opportunity to then not have to match, and you can then do fewer moves, so you can conserve a bit more energy.
Come on, Saul.
3 athletes have climbed, and it's Xander Waller who has your top score of 31.37 as he secures 31 handholds, made positive momentum before he fell off the wall, and he secured 7 clips. Solomon Barth on the wall right now, the 4th of 8 athletes in this final round, trying to track down Xander Waller's top time. 21 years old, out of Stanford, California.
Solomon's in that position where he doesn't have a lot of resting for the next few moves, so it's important to take the time to rest there. He's actually bypassing the toe hook and deciding to use the high foot, which is working out very well for him.
Yeah, Saul, come on.
This is about where we saw Xander Waller's climb come to an end. Barth is poised to take over the lead.
Come on,
Just past the 3-minute mark, so more than halfway through his window.
That's it. Come on, Saul.
Solomon able to match here, which will set him up nicely.
And he will slip
Solomon Barth.
as he reaches out with his left hand, and his climb comes to an end. We are halfway through the field here in the final round. Back with more in Alexandria, Virginia.
Even in the competition world, climbing is such a creative sport. You look at what some of the setters create, and it's beautiful. I mean, it looks like a canvas. They strip the wall, it's this blank canvas, and then they come up with this magic and these patterns and designs, especially with the holds that are being created nowadays, these beautiful colored volumes.
4 men have climbed, 4 men remain. And here are your current standings in this sport final round. Xander Waller, 31.37. Solomon Barth just missing that on his last climb. And right now he sits in second place. Drew Ruana will be the 5th man on the wall. 19 years old from Redmond, Washington, and we mentioned that U.S. overall national team at the top of the show and how that important that is to these climbers, and Drew Ruana has all but locked up a spot on that team courtesy of him getting into the finals.
It's a great position for Drew Ruana, though I know a national championship would mean so much to him as he's gotten pretty close in the past. So being such a talented sport climber, it's likely that he could get pretty far on this route. And he already has a really nice rhythm as he makes his way through this technical section.
He started climbing at 3 years old when his father took him to Smith Rock, and he said climbing just clicked. Both his father and mother were climbers, and just kind of natural for him to get into the sport at such a young age.
Definitely someone who would be called a natural. He's getting ready to get into that more dynamic section. He's gonna have to match his hands to set up for the jump, and a little bit of down climbing here so he can get his left hand to that left, more left of the 2 blue holds. Now he's in a good position to set up for the jump.
Drew Ruana passes that first big test, as every climber so far has gotten to this point on the wall.
Drew was able to read that move properly by going with the left hand, which saves you some time and energy by not having to match your hands within the pocket, figuring out which of these black holds is better to go to. And I'm struggling to, oh, I don't think he really sees the one that was lower, but looks like it's okay and it's working.
Drew Ruana, the 5th of 8 men to climb here in the finals, and he will come off as he reached. Grip just didn't stay true. Drew Ruana won't win a national championship, but the good news for him in the big picture is that he has basically locked up a spot in that U.S. overall national team.
I was a little worried when I saw that he didn't use that lower black hold, and it just kind of made him a little bit too stretched out there and making it difficult for him to get to that next hold. So a little mistake, and unfortunately Drew Ruana's off the wall, but luckily for him it should not affect that overall standing, but definitely a disappointing attempt there.
Drew Ruana is talking with his judge to just confirm his score.
Definitely one thing I have seen from Drew in the past is that he has all of the ability. He is one of the strongest sport climbers right now, and it's just coming down to mental and making sure he fine-tunes a little bit more and doesn't make little mistakes like that, because he's definitely capable of standing in that #1 spot on the podium.
23.56 will be his score. And right now, that is tied with Charlie Osborne for 4th place, as Xander Waller still has the mark to beat at 31.37. And here is another man who looks to join Drew Ruana on that U.S. overall national team, and that's Sean Bailey. He's taking some additional time to read the route before he hops on. Sixth athlete on the wall, Sean Bailey out of San Diego, California. He is the defending champion at this event.
Sean's had a pretty stellar year so far. Everybody's known that he was capable of climbing so well in so many competitions, and he's really done a good job this year of just executing at all of the national events. really started after the Vail World Cup where he took second in bouldering. It's kind of just been a nice push into the rest of the competition season.
And thanks to those efforts, Sean Bailey has essentially locked up a spot on the U.S. overall national team. Not the final step towards getting to the 2020 Summer Olympics, but a big first one and a necessary one. Now Bailey gets set up to approach that first big crux on this route. Sean Bailey, the defending sport champion, on the wall, the 6th of 8 men to get up there.
Getting ready to get into this more dynamic section. There's a nice little jump after these blue holds that he is trying to figure out how to get set up for.
Bailey makes a jump and is able to secure that hold with his left hand. And now he will go for the clip. That is worth an additional 0.01 points.
This next section has been a little bit tricky. Those black holds blend in really well to the volume, so if you didn't fully see them, and you have to kind of figure out how to get through them while standing on a very slippery foot. So we've seen a couple of the men struggle to figure out in which orientation they want to grab those holds to get set up to go to the next hold.
Bailey doing a nice job of negotiating his way through that. And like Drew Ruana, both of his parents were climbers, and he first started climbing around the age of 5. He then joined the youth team at Vertical World and tagged along with the Ruana family on weekend trips to Smith Rock.
Using the toe hook outright to set him up to go into this wiggle. Kind of caught there on the draw, actually. He needs to fix his thumb so it doesn't mess him up. Really nicely done there by Sean Bailey. Kind of having to deal.
And Bailey just can't hang on. Now the question is, did he do enough to overtake Xander Waller for the lead? We will have his official score when we return to Alexandria, Virginia. Back at the Sport Rock Climbing Centers in Alexandria, Virginia, where Sean Bailey saw his national title hopes come to an end right here.
He got a little caught up in the rope on the previous of the pocket holds and then was able to get around it, but it was a little too taxing and probably stressed him out a little bit too much to recover from it, unfortunately.
Here are your standings after Bailey's climb. 27.57 points for him. Xander Waller remains on top as just 2 climbers remain.
Matty Hong taking a quick look at the route before he heads on up there. He's been in ISO for a little bit, so he wants to refresh his memory.
Matty Hong, the 7th of 8 men to now get on the route. One of the older competitors in the field at 27 years old out of Denver, Colorado.
Matty has won this competition in the past, took a little break from competing, focusing a little more on outdoor climbing and some filmmaking. But really nice to see him back on this competition circuit after already making the final in bouldering and now back in the final here. He's having a really great season so far.
None of the climbers so far have had much trouble at all with this first portion of the route. It's those blue volumes that you see in the middle of your screen that really kind of signify the start of the more difficult portions of this route.
It's definitely the beginning of the cruxes, and mainly after that dynamic move. You don't have a lot of time to figure out how you want to go to some of those bad crimp holds when you have a lot of slippery feet. So there's a lot of decision making that has to happen quickly, all while you're on extremely bad holds. Maddie getting ready to set up for the jump. He is one of the taller competitors, so the jump shouldn't be as big.
And Hong had it with his left hand, but couldn't hang on. He's the first climber to not make that jump.
Unfortunately, he just lacked in a little bit of accuracy. He hit the top of the hold and came down, creating a little bit too much of a swing for him to hang on. Really unfortunate there for Matty Hong. I'm sure he had so much more climbing that he could have done, but sometimes that's the way it goes.
16.55 is Matty Hong's score, as Xander Waller is one climber away from being crowned the national champion. His mark of 31.37 still the score to beat. Jesse Grouper is the only man who remains, and he did the best in the qualifying round that was held earlier today. And take a look at this final route that has yet to be topped by anybody. Jesse Grouper will be the man who has the last chance to do just that. And if he does get to the top, he is going to be your national champion, but he just needs to get higher right now than Xander Waller did in order to win that title.
And Jesse Grouper has been on the podium in the past. He's placed second at this competition before, back in 2015. He's a very capable sport climber, as we've seen him climb all weekend. So there's definitely a possibility that we could still see a top here tonight.
They love you, Jesse.
Jesse has a lot of fans in the crowd, always climbing with a smile on his face.
Jesse Grouper, the 8th and final man to get on the wall here, 22 years old, an even 6-foot wingspan. He's out of Upper Montclair, New Jersey. Grouper is the last man who has a chance of beating Xander Waller. Waller scored 31.07. He got credit for 31 handholds and clipped in 7 times.
There you go.
Grouper doesn't necessarily need to get himself to the top, although that guarantees victory. Right now, he's just gunning for Xander Waller.
We got you, buddy.
Jesse making his way through this more technical section, needing to be very precise, as those holds are not very good. They're all dual text holds, so there's multiple textures. There's a friction side and a slippery side. So it's really important to make sure you're being super accurate with your movements. Jesse is now approaching the more dynamic section of the route. Gonna set up for the jump here. Just needs to be extremely accurate.
And Grouper easily gets a hold of that. Didn't even have to jump, and now clips in for the 6th time. Xander Waller clipped in 7 times. And that clip is at the top of your screen.
Jesse made a good decision as one of the taller competitors. He figured he may be able to just static it instead of having to jump. Trying to figure out this technical, very finger strength oriented section.
Jesse Grouper, the 8th and final man on the wall here, trying to beat Xander Waller's score of 31.07.
Come on, Jesse.
And Grouper is flirting with that mark right now as he has clipped in for the 7th time to match Waller's 7 clips. Now, can he get higher?
Nice set with that toe hook, easily getting into that Waco hold, keeping him nicely sucked into the wall there. Needs to keep his hips in as much as possible here. These moves are very strenuous and require a lot of tension.
Jesse Grouper clips in for an 8th time. That's already more than Xander Waller. If he can control one more hold, he's got it.
Come on, Jesse.
Jesse taking that match approach here, seeing if he can get into that blue hold with some feet.
And Jesse Grouper looks like he's going to be your 2019 USA Climbing Sport Open National Champion. There's the slip, but Grouper looks like he has done enough. Jesse Grouper with a great effort as Xander Waller's top mark of 31.37 looked like it was going to last, but Jesse Grouper unofficially has done just enough, and this is the move that wins it for him.
Jesse made some really good decisions here by matching on that red hold so that he could get into that next blue hold and then set himself up nicely to then go to that volume that had a blue hold on it. He should have gotten usable surface of the hold on the volume.
31.58 is enough to beat Xander Waller, and that man, Jesse Grouper, wins the national championship. We'll be back at the Sport Rock Climbing Centers in Alexandria, Virginia after this. The first of 4 national championships has just been won by Jesse Grouper, who just edges out Xander Waller with a score of 31.58, 31 holds, was able to get usable surface before he fell off the wall for 0.5, and he clips in 8 times. Xander Waller had the mark to beat for most of this final round. He was the 3rd of 8 men on the wall. Jesse Grouper, the last man on the wall, and does just enough to bring home the national championship. Grouper was the top man in qualifying, and he keeps the momentum going into the final round, where, man, it was close. There are your final standings.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Sean Bailey and Drew Ruana, in the meantime, lock up spots on the United States overall national team. The first big step towards possibly representing the United States at the 2020 Summer Olympics. Let's send it over to Megan Martin, who is with your 2019 USA Climbing Sport Open National Champion, Jesse Grouper.
Jesse, amazing climbing tonight and this entire weekend. I know you've placed second 2 other times at a national competition. How does it feel to walk away with a win here?
This feels insanely unreal. This is kind of my home crowd. A lot of people from the East Coast are out here. My parents came out. I'm super excited to be here and just to have this experience. It's pretty incredible.
So this route was kind of tricky and you seemed to read it really well. How did you feel about that jump at the beginning? And you were able to static it. Was that like a really good feeling to be secure on that move?
Yeah, so I think it was really challenging to, as far as like seeing the holds from the ground. A lot of them are covered over those big volumes, so it's a little hard to see some of them. So that was a little bit tricky as far as like reading it correctly and making sure that you know how to do it properly. But it was really, that one move was especially a little nerve-wracking, and from the ground it wasn't entirely clear if you'd be able to jump to it or if you would be able to move statically. So I kind of did like a little bit of both, and it just happened to work out. Yeah, I knew that would be a challenge because there because of a lot of like the cheering from the crowd and all that stuff. So it's pretty awesome.
Well, I'm so glad it all worked out for you, and congratulations, and I'm so excited for you, and I can't wait to see what you do next.
Thanks so much. Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
For sure.
Jessie Grouper, your 2019 USA Climbing Sport Open National Champion. We've crowned the best of the men. The women's final coming up next. The 2019 USA Climbing Sport and Speed Open National Championships are brought to you by The North Face, inspiring and enabling exploration since 1966. The men are done. The women are up next from the sport finals as Jessie Grouper was just crowned the men's national champion. The women in the middle of their read time where they get to read the route. Here are your 8 finalists. The top qualifier, Ashima Shirishi, will be last on the route, and we will be keeping close eyes on what Claire Burfine and Margot Hayes do. Those are the 2 women who are involved in that battle for that 4th and final roster spot on the U.S. overall national team. Hayes currently sits in 4th place, trying to hold off Burfine here in the finals.
We've got a couple newer names to the finals too. Emma Palmer has not ever made an open sport final, and neither has Lauren Bear, so really exciting for these 2 women to have made it into the final after being really successful youth competitors.
We will see how they match up against some very seasoned veterans as the women continue to talk over this route. And this is something you see a lot in climbing. You've mentioned this before. They are competing against each other, but they are helping each other out. That's something that's pretty cool about the climbing community.
It's definitely one of my favorite parts of the climbing community is that there is so much support and just so much camaraderie amongst climbers in general, and it really starts at a young age, and I think it's something that's very special about this sport because you really don't see it in a lot of other sports.
Their time to read the route is now over. They will be placed in isolation as they do not get to watch each other climb. And Lauren Bear will be the first woman to attack this route. A perfect score is 48.11. 48 scored handholds and 11 clips.
The men's route proved to be very difficult, and after talking with the route setters, I feel like the women's route will be equally as difficult. But I do think that this is necessary due to the fact that we are trying to put the best climbers out there to get a shot at making it to the Olympics in Tokyo 2020. So we want to make sure the U.S. athletes are as prepared as possible.
The course on the left is the one the women will be climbing, different than the one the men just got done climbing. More scored handholds for the women.
Seeing a lot of volume holds again on this route seems to be a theme. And then a lot of those dual textured holds, some of the volumes actually have dual texture. If you see a volume that is both white and black, the white side is completely slippery and the black side is the part with the texture.
And that black hold in the green box, that's the goal, and it's more than 60 feet in the air.
Yep, these athletes have to try to get to the hold in that green box, and then they must clip in order to be awarded the top on the route. So that'll be the goal for all of these women here.
And they have to do it in a 6-minute window.
This is true. The 6 minutes is definitely key.
Lauren Bear getting set. She'll be the first of 8 finalists for the women.
She's definitely really excited to be climbing here tonight. Really excited to see what she does on this route. She's performed well all weekend, so.
Please put your hands together for Lauren Bear.
Very large start hold there for this women's route. It's going to be a pretty cool start where they kind of have to press themselves into the opening moves of the route.
Lauren Bear, the first women's finalist to take on this route, 16 years old, out of Flower Mound, Texas.
She is off to a very nice start here. moving really quickly through those opening moves. And she's gonna start approaching those smaller handholds. We call those little crimps, and they're a little bit slopey, so they're not as in-cut as some of the other crimp holds. Body tension is definitely key here. Really nice pace so far from Lauren Baer.
And these routes are laid out to be more difficult as you ascend up the wall, so you don't get rewarded for doing more work. You actually make things tougher on yourself.
Exactly, you want to try to get up there in the easiest way possible, and you don't want to create extra moves for yourself. A little hesitation there, but she was able to figure out how to get through that section, which seems to be that first crux or most difficult, or the first of many difficult parts on the route. As Sean said, they build in difficulty. A little confused whether which way she should be going. Setting her body up nicely to stay in sequence here. There is a jump coming up. She has 2 more clips, and then there will be a jump.
Every time she clips in, she adds 0.01 to her score. So those clips in a close field like this can certainly come into play. Lauren Baer, the first of 8 finalists on the wall, and just misses, securing her left hand on that hold, and her climb will come to an end.
Lauren setting up for the jump. She wasn't able to get enough momentum to get over there. After talking to the route setters, there are a couple ways in which you can do this jump. Going left hand could work, as can going right hand, so we'll have to see how each climber decides to try that move. Really nice climbing there from Lauren Baer. She looked confident all the way through.
Lauren Baer getting the confirmation from her judge on her score. And now she gets to be a spectator. 27.36 for Lauren Baer. She secures 27 of the 48 handholds. The 0.3 comes from the positive momentum that she made reaching for that last hold. And she was able to secure 6 of the clips. Katie Lamb up next. And Katie Lamb, the second of 8 finalists. 5'4" height, a 5'2" wingspan, and she's out of Stanford, California.
Really nice start here for Katie, moving through these red volumes pretty quickly. She is a seasoned competitor and really excels in the sport climbing discipline. She's been in finals before, and she's showing that she's confident as she moves through this more technical section before getting into the more finger strength section of this climb.
We saw Lauren Baer set a pretty good pace through this opening portion of the route, but on these routes things have a tendency to quickly slow down as the difficulty increases.
Nice pace from Katie here. She's getting close to that first part where Lauren took a moment to kind of figure out the body position. Sometimes when these climbers feel off balance, they just have to take a second to reset and make sure they're not moving too soon and really setting themselves up nicely. Katie's going to do the same thing here. And just take a moment to readjust and make sure she is in the right sequence.
And you can really appreciate just how small some of these holds are and how precise and strong these athletes need to be to keep themselves on the wall.
And with those small holds, that's why sometimes it's necessary to do things like what Katie is doing right now and use her heel in order to take some weight off her hands. Because those holds are so small, you need to conserve your energy.
Katie Lamb, the second of 8 competitors on the wall, 21 years old, from Stanford, California, and a wingspan that is 2 inches shorter than her 5'4" height.
She's gonna make this clip here, and then she needs to figure out how she's gonna set up for this jump, whether she's gonna go with her right hand or her left hand. This is like one of the bigger moves. Oh, she's gonna do a toe hook. Genius if she can just get over there. Nicely done by Katie Lamb.
Great move as Katie Lamb secures that hold, and this is where we saw Lauren Bear come off the wall. She's got to make that clip on the left before her foot passes it. She is the new leader, though, at this point, but again, we are early. She's just the second of 8 athletes on the wall. And she has 6 minutes to get herself as far up with this route as she can.
This is a nice place where Katie can take a second and rest, although she does have to keep switching back and forth with her hands on that hold. Though it is a good hold, it could be better, so it's not really a place where she wants to hang out too long. Because she definitely still has some more climbing to do, and it's only going to get more difficult.
And this is where not being able to watch other competitors or really spend a lot of time reading this route come into play, you now have to start figuring this thing out as you go along.
Exactly, and because these walls are so tall and there's so many volumes, when these women were previewing the routes, it's probably difficult to see all of the holds, so you kind of have to reset when you get on the wall and kind of look at it in those rest sections to see what's next for you.
There's a brief slip, but Lamb is able to recover nicely.
Making her way up into this volume that is kind of stacked on each other, creating a little bit of a hold there. This is one of the more difficult moves, getting into this next volume where she has to quickly come in here with her right hand. Needs to figure out how she can clip. Oof. She's got the rope stuck there. Luckily the slack just came out. She's gonna try to see if she can bring the draw to her. You cannot weight the draw, but you can move it towards you.
She's got it stuck under her left foot, and if she pulls off her left foot, she's gonna slip, but does a nice job of getting enough slack to clip it in.
This next volume that she's gonna approach with her hand has some holds on it, so she'll just have to feel around for them until she gets in this nice position with her left foot to where she can take a moment and relax. Unless she's too tired to do so, she might have to just keep moving.
And Catherine Lamb saluted from the crowd as she sets the new high point, and she is your early leader here in the final round of the 2019 USA Climbing Sport Open National Championship. Katie Lamb gets about 2/3 up the route, and as a result has the early mark to beat at 35.38.
Yeah, no, I got that off so pumped already.
Both Katie and Lauren going over exactly what they did on the climb. Everyone likes to take a moment to kind of debrief and kind of learn from what just happened for the next time when they're trying to suss out what they want to do on the climb.
All right, boys and girls, I want you to put your hands together.
Claire Burfine up next, and this is a big climb for her.
It's definitely important for Claire to do well here because she is one of those athletes that is trying to get on that overall national team.
Claire Burfine, the third of 8 finalists on the wall here, 20 years old, out of Plano, Texas, and a lot riding on this ascent for Claire Burfine. Is right now when it comes to that U.S. overall national team, she is on the outside looking in. She needs to beat Margot Hayes and get some help in the process in order for her to crack the top 4, and Margot Hayes will be going second to last.
Claire doing a nice job of managing her breathing as she's going through this opening section of the route. making her way into those smaller holds where your finger strength and body tension become more of an issue and something you need to pay attention to.
And if this is the first time you've watched a sport climbing competition, they cannot use those carabiners to bear any weight. They're clipping in just for safety purposes only, but they can't use those to help them lean against it or help them rest.
Claire's approaching that section where a few of the women have taken a moment to readjust their body position. Those feet are quite slippery because they have a dual texture to them, so she's just trying to figure out how she can get in to this part of the...
And Burfind is off the wall early. And she is upset because she knows how important that climb was.
It's a little sequencing mistake there from Claire Burfind. I think it is a little bit easier to try and go up left to that blue hold and then come into that red volume. And so she got herself in a little bit of an awkward position. Quite devastating there for Claire Burfind, but it's really not over for her because what really matters for her overall is how Margot Hayes does now, so we'll just have to see what happens.
Margot Hayes is going to have to not do as well as Claire Burfind for Burfind to have any chance of making it, but Margot Hayes has a lot of room for error now thanks to Claire Burfind, who knows kind of what's slipping through her fingers at this point by the look on her face.
For a lot of these athletes, it's been a pretty long season with a lot of the ones that are looking to get on that overall team having come straight off the World Cup circuit back into the national circuit, trying to make their way onto that overall national team. So there's been a lot at stake. There's a lot of training involved, a lot of time. So to have something like that happen to Claire Burfind right now is quite devastating.
Emma Palmer is the 4th of 8 women to get on the wall. And Catherine Lamb still has the top score of 35.38. Emma Palmer, 4th on the wall for the women's finalists. She's out of Reno, Nevada, just 18 years old, looking to track down Katie Lamb's top mark of 35.38.
Emma Palmer has been extremely impressive this weekend. Not that I'm surprised. She has been a successful youth competitor. We just haven't seen her on the open circuit as much, but it's really nice to see her get onto that circuit in such a big way, as she showcased some really smart and amazing sport climbing this weekend.
Palmer doing a nice job of reaching over with her left hand and securing that clip. Each of those carabiners is worth .01.
Making her way up into this tricky section where the sequence isn't very obvious, so possibility for mistake. But if she's able to, she'll be able to figure out how to make it work for her. Using her heel there to get the clip, take a little weight off her hands, conserve some energy.
Palmer's right hand slipping off as he reached for that next hold. And that means that Katie Lamb is still our leader. We're halfway through the final round for the women here in Alexandria, Virginia. Halfway through the qualifying women in the finals here. as 4 women have climbed. And Katie Lamb is still your leader, 35.38. Michaela Kirsch is up next.
Michaela Kirsch is one of the more seasoned competitors in this competition, placed second last year in this competition and has been on the top many different times, like the top 10. She's never won this competition, but she usually does well at sport climbing, and I know she's always wanted to win this open competition.
And she's off.
Michaela Kirsch, the 5th of 8 finalists to get onto the wall. 23 years old, out of Chicago, Illinois, and a wingspan that is 2 inches longer than her height.
She's generally a very smart climber when it comes to sport climbing, though this weekend she has made a few mistakes. But I always feel like it's better to make those mistakes in the earlier round so that you're set up for success for that final round. Nice rhythm here as she makes her way through that opening section of the route, now into the more finger-intensive section.
Looking good, Michaela. Come on.
This next part is where a few of the women have kind of second-guessed themselves and had a little bit of trouble reading the sequence, so hopefully Michaela can figure it out.
Kirsch deciding to reset just a bit now.
Really smart move there to quickly take care of that so she doesn't waste any time. This, to me, seems to be the better way to do this part. It's a little more controlled.
Wow, Stacey.
Needs to come into this blue hold. Nice heel hook there to stay in control.
Good, Michaela. Come on.
Michaela Kirsch, the 5th of 8 finalists, making her climb up the wall. 23 years old, out of Chicago, Illinois, and she is trying to track down Katie Lamb's top score of 35.38.
She's getting ready to get into the more dynamic section of the route. Now she can do it in a more static way by using a toe hook or a heel hook, but we'll have to see if she decides to jump or if she can figure out a way to go static. Taking a moment to really decide what she wants to do here. Goes with a heel hook, see if she can, oops, second guessing it. She is she is a shorter climber, so the toe hook would be better than a heel because she can be more elongated and not have to worry about an aggressive release, but she's gonna go for the jump.
Kirsch may have made contact with it. That might give her some extra points, but unable to secure the hold, and her climb comes to an end.
She really wanted to figure out a way to do that because she knew that was a big jump. Able to get her finger on it just a little, but didn't really push off of that right foot at all because she was a little extended, so she couldn't quite get into that hold.
Michaela Kirsch will talk things over with her judge just to confirm her score. The question is, on that last portion, if she actually made good contact with usable space, that would be 0.5. If she just made forward progress, it would be 0.3.
Correct. I would be surprised if they didn't give her the 0.5 because from the video, it looked like she touched that hold in the usable place, but we'll have to wait and see.
.57.56 is the score for Michaela Kirsch, and that means that Katie Lamb's mark is still the top score. as we are now more than halfway through the final round here for the women, and Kyra Condi is up next.
Kyra looking at that route just for a second.
Kyra Condi, the 6th of 8 women in this final round, onto the wall. She's out of Shoreview, Minnesota. And Kyra Condi, courtesy of her win at the Combined Invitational event in Salt Lake City back in January, has already earned a spot on that U.S. overall national team, taking that first big step towards a possible chance to represent the United States at the 2020 Summer Olympics.
Kyra's definitely in a position where there's not as much stress considering she is already on that overall team. But looking at this route, it is a route that she could do really well on given her climbing style and how powerful she is and how quickly she moves through sequences without second guessing herself too much.
Good, Kyra, come on.
Here are your current standings in the final round. Katie Lamb's score of 35.38 is the top mark, as she was the 2nd of 8 women to make her climb. Kyra Condi on the wall right now. Just 2 climbers remain after her.
Come on, Kyra.
Really good save, a little bit lower on that quick little slip. It'll be interesting to see if she chooses to go dynamically. My guess is that she would, though she does love to use toe hooks, so she might figure out that she can go with a toe hook.
Let's go, crowd. Let's get behind.
She's gonna set up for the jump.
Condi eyeing that next hold up and to her right. There's the jump, and she just can't secure it.
One more time for Kyra Condi.
Kyra Condi unable to overtake Katie Lamb for the lead. Just 2 climbers remain here in the finals of the 2019 USA Climbing Sport Open National Championship. Just 2 climbers remain here in the final round of the 2019 USA Climbing Sport Open National Championship, and it's Katie Lamb who still has the top score, pardon me, of 35.38. Kyra Condi tied Michaela Kirsch for 2nd with her most recent effort, 27.56, and Margot Hayes will be up next.
It'll be interesting to see how Margot approaches this route. I don't foresee any problems in the opening part, and when it comes to that jump move, I could see Margot figuring out that a toe hook might be the better way to make that cross, because she's usually really smart and can figure out how to keep her feet on the wall versus jumping for things, which just takes more energy away from you.
And Margot Hayes has been in isolation for a while. She's now taking some time in her 6-minute window to get another read on this route.
Margot doing a really good job at trying to get as much of the route in her vision as she can because it is so high up.
Show us the way.
Margot Hayes, the 2nd to last competitor to go here in the final round. And she's not only trying to win a national championship, she's trying to lock down that 4th and final spot on the U.S. overall national team. She came in 4th place in those standings, and Claire Burfind was trying to overtake her, but Burfind really had a disaster on her climb, and Margot Hayes, as far as holding off Burfind here, it shouldn't take a whole lot for her to do that. But there's another athlete who is competing in the sport final who also, in the speed final, who also has a chance of maybe overtaking Margot Hayes in those U.S. overall national team standings, and that's Sienna Kopp. We'll see her in action later on this evening.
Exactly. So Margot is in a bit of a better position because it isn't going to take too much. But knowing Margot and how tenacious she is, she's going to want to complete this route. Reading the sequence perfectly. Oh, deciding to clip, which is very smart. She was in such a good flow, she kind of just forgot, but really good move there as she works her way into that red volume hold. Needs to figure out how to get into this sloper. Nicely done, really using the tension there to keep her hips into the wall. Nice use of the heel hook. Take a moment to relax.
As far as holding off Claire Burfeind is concerned, Hayes has essentially done enough here in the finals. Now really all she has to worry about as far as her spot on the U.S. overall national team is Sienna Kopp, who goes in that speed final later on.
And this is the part where I'm hoping she'll go with the toe hook. Very smart there, Margot Hayes. Not surprised by that really smart climbing move there.
Margot Hayes, the second to last finalist on the wall, 20 years old, out of Boulder, Colorado, and she's trying to overtake Katie Lamb for the lead here on this route. Lamb's score of 35.38, still the best mark.
Y'all want to see a top?
Margot looks really relaxed right now, which is really a good position for her going up into this next section. Trying to shake out those arms. She does recover quite well on the wall. Not every climber is able to recover as well. So she's just using that to her advantage before she gets ready to make those powerful moves.
Margot Hayes making a nice ascent here, and she is getting closer to basically making Sienna Kopp a non-factor.
Needs to get her right hand in there after the clip so she can set up to go to the volume. She has a nice little knee bar there. She might even be, yeah, she's gonna have to bring that right hand down to go left hand here and then move her body over. Looks like she's right on one of those holds that are on the volume.
And if Margot Hayes can get to that hold by her right hand, if she get her left hand on there, she will be on the U.S. overall national team.
Really doing a great job here, making her way up the volume.
And there it is. Margot Hayes is going to be on the U.S. overall national team, courtesy of this effort, regardless of what Sienna Kopp does in the speed final. So Margot Hayes not relying on anybody else to take care of business as she continues to climb here and making her way closer to a possible national championship with just one climber to go.
Margot using her flexibility here as she stems out left to make that clip. She's coming up on another dynamic move, which I do believe you have to do dynamically.
Just 1 minute remains in her 6-minute window. And she is now officially your new leader in this final event, and she slips. Won't be able to top the route, but with one climber remaining, Margot Hayes is your leader in the sport competition.
Really beautiful climbing there from Margot Hayes.
40.59 for Margot Hayes as she is your new overall leader with just one climber remaining.
Margot did a great job to just climb extremely smart, conserve energy where she could, just making all of the right decisions on a route where you just you can't afford to make any mistakes, and she did it perfectly.
This is where Margot Hayes not only took the lead, but also clinched her spot on the United States overall national team, taking a big step towards possibly wearing the red, white, and blue at the Summer Games next year. These are the standings for the Sport National Championship. Katie Lamb had the top score for most of this final round. She set that as she was the second woman out, but Margot Hayes, the seventh woman out, now has the top score. Ashima Shirishi is the final climber and probably the woman with the best chance of beating Margot Hayes.
Ashima taking a moment there to make sure she knows exactly what she wants to do on this route. She's very good at making sure she's prepared for every move and is deliberate in her movements so that she doesn't waste any time on the wall. So she wants to be as prepared as possible before she gets on this climb.
Your final climber for the women, Ashima Shirishi, 17 years old, out of New York, and she has already won one national championship this season. That was the Bouldering Open National Championship. She won that back in February in a competition outside of Bend, Oregon, and now looking to win her second straight, but she's going to have to chase down Margot Hayes in order to do that. Margot Hayes with a top score of 40.59.
Ashima already off to a really good start with a nice rhythm on this route, making all of the right clipping positions. Nicely moves through this first crux that's given some of the women problems. Choosing to go up with her left hand first, making that move a little easier.
And the thing that you will notice when you watch Ashima Shirishi climb, it's just surgical precision.
Ashima with too much style.
Ashima is also extremely flexible and just has really amazing footwork and can get herself into positions like this one where she's so comfortable, but maybe not everyone else would be as comfortable. I, for one, definitely don't trust my feet as much as she does. Getting into this next section where we have not seen this move done dynamically, only in a static way. So we'll see if she decides to go static.
Come on, boys and girls, you're gonna need to get her through.
We've seen a lot of women try dynamically, but the only success has been if they do it statically. It does look like she wants to jump, though.
Shirishi goes with her left hand and she makes it. The first woman to jump and successfully secure that hold.
I don't know if you guys know how big this is, because Ashima does not generally like to jump, and for her to do that move successfully, that dynamic way, just shows how amazing of a climber she is and how she's worked so hard on the very few weaknesses she's had.
And now about halfway up the route here, and this is where things start to get really difficult.
Just taking a few moments to reset and shake out here. The next bit of climbing requires her to keep moving and not have a lot of time to rest. nicely into that blue undercling where she can find a stance. Margot Hayes was able to get a knee bar here. We'll see if she decides to or if she keeps moving. Going with that knee bar on her right leg to take a little bit of the weight off of her hands and conserve some energy there.
And Ashima Shirishi is starting to close in on Margot Hayes, who still has the top score of 40.59.
Trying to get into that hand hold that's on the volume. Nicely onto the volume with both hands. She needs to work her way up on this volume a bit more. Ooh, pressing into it. A little different than how we saw Margot Hayes do it. Kind of in an awkward position, but actually she looks quite comfortable, so.
If Ashima Shirishi can get both hands on that big red volume above her head, she will win the national championship.
She does need to figure out how she can press up a little more and not be sitting on the rope like she is, so she can actually clip there. Lucky for her, she is in a position where she is not on her hands too much, but now she's back in it. Nicely placing that heel, so she should be better set up to clip here. Just trying to match on that tiny, tiny hold.
Oh, and she slips off so close to that final hold. And there is your 2019 USA Climbing Sport Open National Champion, Margot Hayes, who not only wins the title, but also earns herself a spot on the U.S. overall national team. Women's final is done. We'll hear from the champion when we come back.
All right, boys and girls, give it up one more time for Ashima.
Back inside the Sport Rock Climbing Centers in Alexandria, Virginia, where Margot Hayes has just won the 2019 USA Climbing Sport and Speed Open National Championship, and at the same time gets herself on the United States overall national team, and Margot is with Megan Martin.
Margot, beautiful climbing all weekend and amazing route reading and smart climbing tonight. You have topped the route at nationals, the last two nationals, but you didn't walk away with a win those times. So how does it feel to walk away with a win tonight?
You know, I'm happy to be here, and it's always humbling to be among so many strong women and so many strong men. And nationals is always an opportunity for us to come together and, you know, solve these puzzles as a team. And so really, like, it's about loving what you're doing, and, you know, in the final it can be anybody's game, so you just go out and try hard and then see what happens. So, you know, I'm just happy to be here among everybody. They put on a great event.
Well, we're really happy to have you here, and you know, you're one of the athletes who has been trying to get on that overall national team, and going into this competition tonight, it was really important for you to do well, and I'm so happy to say that you are on that overall national team. So how does that feel going into the World Cup circuit this year and hopefully trying to get into Tokyo 2020?
You know, we'll see. I'm happy to be a part, because when I get to go to the competitions with the team, it's always a good time. And you know, I don't know. I'm just happy to be here. So.
Well, we're very happy to have you here,
Thank
and
you.
you were phenomenal all weekend long. And congratulations!
Thank you so
and
much.
Can't wait to see what you do.
Yeah, it's an honor to be on the team. So thank you.
Very proud of you.
Yeah, thank you.
We have crowned 2 national champions so far. We have 2 more to go. The sport competition is done. The speed competition right around the corner. The 2019 USA Climbing Sport and Speed Open National Championships continue here at the Sport Rock Climbing Centers in Alexandria, Virginia. Thanks for staying with us, everybody. I'm Sean Woodland alongside former U.S. national team member Megan Martin as we take a look at the speed course. We will crown 2 national champions in that discipline here in a little bit. We had qualifying, and it seems like it was ages ago, That was on Friday morning, where each athlete gets 2 separate runs. And John Brosler and Noah Bracci, your top qualifiers.
It's Noah Bracci on the left there, one of the faster qualifying times. And on the left here is John Brosler, who has the national record and is always looking to break that record. He did not have the faster time in qualifiers, Noah Bracci did, so it's going to be a race between those 2 men to see who can be the fastest.
On the women's side, your top 2 qualifiers are Amanda Wooten and Piper Kelly.
Amanda Wooten has had a really good speed season until the combined invitational. She hadn't even PR'd in speed in a while, and then she was able to PR there, which is the second fastest time for the Americans, only second to Piper Kelly, who is the national record holder. And although she hasn't had her fastest times in the qualifier, I'm looking to see her really lay it all out there tonight and hopefully go for not just a national championship win, but also another record.
And unlike the sport and bouldering competitions where the routes and problems change all the time, this course, this 15-meter high course, never changes. This will be the course these athletes compete on in all the international competitions and the Olympics. So muscle memory here is huge, and that's why you see such quick times.
Yeah, the times are so fast. Most of the athletes who really succeed at this discipline could run this with their eyes closed, basically, because they have it so well memorized and dialed. And it's kind of different than any other discipline in climbing, because there's always all these other variables, because you practice for moves and you practice for fitness, but there's never something that you know exactly what you're about to get, except for in speed. So it's just very unique in that way in terms of a climbing discipline.
And it's hard to tell, but if you look closely, you can see there's about a 5-degree tilt in that wall. It's not straight up, it actually tilts back, and that makes it, you know, even more amazing that these men and women can get up that wall so quickly.
It definitely is even more amazing. And it is weird that you can't tell, and I also feel like you can't really feel it, which is nice, because if you could, I feel like it would kind of mess with your head a little. But really impressive the way these athletes are able to get up the speed route. And another thing about it is everyone will kind of do it differently. There are a lot of people who use the same beta or sequence to get up there, and then some people just have to adjust for whatever their proportions are to figure out how to do it as fast as they can for their body.
And the way these speed finals will work is each climber will make one climb up each route, and their fastest time of the 2 routes is the one that will count. And again, these are identical. They get 2 shots to establish their fastest time. They are not necessarily racing against each other. This is not a bracket format where the loser is eliminated. They are trying just to establish the best time possible. So you obviously want to beat the person next to you, but you don't necessarily eliminate the person next to you.
Yeah, this format is a little less stressful than that knockout round, because with the knockout round, you know, one little slip and all of a sudden you could just lose because you slipped and your opponent gets there first. But since this is more based on time, you don't have to worry about those slips as much, because you always do have that second run. But sometimes we do see people slip or fall and then they don't get a time for that run. And then false starting is a big thing, where if it happens once, it can't happen again. Even if you've already had a time on another run, it happens one time and then you don't have a score. So though you're able to practice speed, there is still that variable because it's so quick where anything can happen.
If you're talking in track terms, the sport competition was the mile. This will be the 40-yard dash. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll have these speed finals coming up next. The 2019 USA Climbing Sport and Speed Open National Championships are brought to you by The North Face, inspiring and enabling exploration since 1966. Good look at the nation's capital. We are just a stone's throw away from Washington, D.C., here in Alexandria, Virginia, and we are just about set for the speed final round between the top 8 men who qualified
All right, boys and girls.
during yesterday's opening round.
Preliminary scores for the sport climbing competition are up.
Again,
For
they
male
will
and
have
female. One more time,
two
preliminary results
separate
are posted.
runs.
A 10-minute appeal window starts
One
right now. Check
on the
them
course
out.
on the left, one on the course on the right, and their best time is what will count as far as determining who will win the national championship.
Both of the routes are identical. So it's just giving the athletes a chance to make sure that they get their best time in case of any kind of hiccup. You'll most likely see little slips here and there, and hopefully the athletes can recover from those in a nice, timely fashion. But every now and then it causes somewhat of a serious hiccup. So having that chance to go twice and take your best time is really vital for success in this discipline.
And we saw that happen during qualifying, where an athlete would fall off the wall and not record a time because you've got to hit the touchpad in order to stop the clock. That's at the top of the route. And then they would come back and have a great run in the second. In fact, some of the athletes here in the finals did just that.
Exactly, and I have to say, when you miss that finish pad at the top, that has to be one of the most devastating feelings, because you are just right in the place to where you can finish your run in a quick time, and then just a slight jump, and that's really one of the more committing parts of the route, because you're going all out to smack that buzzer. So if you miss it, the immediate disappointment is seen on the climber's face.
And it is open seating here at the Sport Rock Climbing Centers. About 1,000 people showed up, packed this place pretty early to see both the sport and speed competitions.
Definitely a really nice turnout. Good support here from that Alexandria crowd. The East Coast has pretty great climbing community all through it, so I'm not surprised that we are so packed here tonight. But it's always nice to see the local climbing community come out and support these climbers that are becoming the face of USA climbing.
Course is getting set and the athletes are just about ready, and we'll be back with the start of the speed final next. A lot of questions being answered here tonight in Alexandria, Virginia. First, who will be our national champions in both speed and sport? Second question is, who will be on the United States overall national team? The top 4 in the overall rankings make it. Sean Bailey, Nathaniel Coleman, Zach Galla, and Drew Ruana will be the 4 men moving on to the U.S. overall national team, and that is the first big step towards possibly getting themselves to the 2020 Summer Olympics. On the women's side, the 4 will be Ashima Shirishi, Kyra Condi, Margot Hayes, and Brooke Rabatu. But we still need to determine who our 2 speed national champions will be, and that is the course that awaits them. Once again, it is the same course throughout the season. They will do this over and over again. They'll go 2 at a time. 8 athletes in 4 pairs. And the top qualifiers, John Brosler and Noah Bracci, are paired together, and they will go last.
It's really cool to see them paired together, because then we'll get an extremely exciting race from the 2 fastest men. I always like how they pair them that way, because it just, gets the crowd more excited. And I think it really pushes the athletes to, work off each other, and that's when records are made.
We are set for the start
Please give it up for Michael Finn Henry
of the final round. Michael Finn Henry is on the right. Josh Levin is on the left.
Athletes taking a moment to make sure the starting pad is in the position that they are comfortable with. Once they're ready, they'll walk over to the auto belay and get clipped in and wait until they are told to turn around.
Michael Finn Henry, the 19-year-old out of
I want y'all to lose the line.
Lincoln, Massachusetts, going up against Josh Levin in this opening pairing. Both of them just trying to set the best time possible.
Climbers on your mark.
Josh Levin on the left, Michael Finn Henry on the right. The opening pairing here in the speed final.
Ready.
Clean start for both athletes, and they're even in the opening part. Michael Finn Henry looks like he has a lead, but a stumble cost him. This one's going to be close, and it's going to be Levin by 0.2 of a second.
That's exactly how it's going to go. Just to keep you up to date on how this whole thing works, this is not a knockout format. They are going head-to-head as far as you
Really
see
great
it.
start from both of the men. Michael Finn Henry unfortunately had a slip, though a pretty quick recovery considering, but it wasn't enough to get that faster time. Josh Levin walks away with the faster time in that pairing.
Josh Levin at 7.2 seconds has the early lead, and every 10th is going to matter in this speed final. And now it's the brothers Muring. Joshua and Luke paired together.
This will be exciting, though I'm sure they practice this all the time, because why wouldn't you want to just train with your brother? I think that'd be a great idea.
Luke is the brother without the glasses.
All right, DC, please give it up for the brothers, Joshua Muring and Luke Muring.
Luke will be on the left, and Joshua will be on the right. Just testing out the starting holds.
Both Luke and Joshua making sure that that pad is in the right position for how they want to start. It's really important for these athletes to be explosive from the get-go, so they need to make sure they are in the right stance to explode out of the start.
Couple warriors up here.
Joshua 3 years younger than his older brother. 6 feet tall with a 6-foot wingspan, both out of Atlanta, Georgia.
Climbers on your mark.
Luke Muring on the left, Josh Muring on the right.
Ready.
All right, let's go!
And they are underway.
Almost identical
It
here.
is dead even to the top. And it's going to be Luke just edging out his younger brother.
Good race.
It's a really clean run from both Luke and Joshua.
Y'all gonna have to work that out over the dinner table later.
Both Luke and Joshua started off really nice, explosive from the get-go. Luke was able to speed up a little more at the top of the run, giving him that faster time.
6.96 seconds for Luke Muring, just beating out his younger brother.
Giving us some dance moves over here, showing off his personality.
I'm sure this is going to be talked about for a while in the Muring household.
Another good pairing coming up here. Two teammates.
Jordan Fishman and Joe Goodacre.
And John Rosser and Noah Bacci.
Both Joe Goodacre and Jordan Fishman are out of Boulder, Colorado on Team ABC.
Joe Goodacre, 18 years old, and a wingspan that is 5'9". And that's Jordan Fishman, 16 years old, also from Colorado, 5'7".
Jordan was able to place second here last year.
Joe Goodacre is on the left, Jordan Fishman on the right, your third of 4 pairings.
Ready.
good start for both, even at the beginning. Goodacre might be pulling ahead just to start, but oh, man! It's going to be Goodacre by 2/100ths of a second.
Definitely an exciting race between both Joe and Jordan. Just as I expected, they were both so explosive out of the start, and they just looked like they were running up the wall, hitting every foot placement perfectly, but Joe was just able to edge out Jordan by being a little quicker at the top there.
And it looked like Joe may have just hesitated for a split second at the top with his foot placement, and still is able to do enough to edge out the man he was racing. And now the top two qualifiers, John Brosler and Noah Bracci, stepping up.
And John Brosler. And up note, John Brosler holds the American speed record.
So far in this competition, we've had clean runs, and that's exactly what these athletes want on their first run, because then they can really push it on the second one.
John Brosler is the national record holder on this course, did it in 5.99 seconds. Noah Bracci's 18 years old, from close by here in Potomac, Maryland.
Climbers on your mark.
John Brosler on the right, Noah Bracci on the left, your final pairing of the first round. Brosler off to a much better start, and he's going to run away with this thing as Bracci struggles with being. Now Brosler falls at the top, and both these athletes are going to make another run, and Bracci falls again as he was trying to scramble his way up. So both of these men will look to improve on those marks on their second and final runs here in the final round. So putting the pressure on each of them.
Noah unfortunately slips right out of the start, able to save it and keep going, though unfortunately he continues to slip. John Brosler had a good start, but then slips, catches himself, but still not the time that he's going to want to start with.
Round one is done. We'll have the second round when we return to Alexandria, Virginia.
Thanks for sitting tight, boys and girls.
Halfway through the men's speed final, and it's Joe Goodacre who has the time to beat at 6.67 seconds. It's less than a half a second separates first from fourth, and that should give you a good idea about how little room for error there is here in this competition. As the athletes get set to make their second attempts, they will switch courses. Again, the courses are identical, but their best time is the one that counts.
And like we were saying before, though this is the most practiced of the disciplines, because these athletes are going so quick, it's so easy to make just a slight mistake, and it's whether or not you can recover quick enough to let it not hurt you.
Michael Finn Henry and Josh Levin for their second and final run. Michael Finn Henry trying to beat his prior time of 7.41 seconds. Josh Levin was at 7.20.
Give it up a second time for Michael Finn Henry and Josh Levin.
At the top time right now, 6.67, courtesy of Joe Goodacre.
Climbers on your mark.
First pairing of the second round, Michael Finn Henry will be on the left, and it's Josh Levin on the right.
Ready.
Second round underway, 6.67 seconds, the time to beat. Michael Finn Henry with a stumble, he's not going to get there. Josh Levin makes the touch, but he's 3/10 shy of Goodacre's mark, but does improve on his last time. So 6.961 will be Levin's best mark.
Both men had a good start, Josh Levin was able to get that momentum early and continue it throughout his run. Michael Finn-Henry unfortunately slipped, leaving room for Josh Levin to get to that buzzer quicker and make a better time and put him in a better position now.
Now the Muring brothers stepping up for their second round.
My favorite rivals, Josh Muring
And it was Luke Muring, the older brother, who got the best of his younger brother in the first round. That is the younger Muring, that is Josh. Trying to exact a little bit of payback on his sibling.
Now that they've gotten their starting platform in the right position, they're getting clipped into that auto belay and waiting for the okay from the judge to turn around.
Climbers on your mark.
Second pairing of the second round, Josh Muring on the left, Luke Muring on the right.
Ready.
They are underway. 6.67 seconds, still the top mark. Luke Muring trying to hold off his younger brother, who makes a charge. 6.723 for Josh Muring, and he just misses Joe Goodacre's mark of 6.67, but does get the best of his older brother. So they are even after 2 rounds.
Both Josh and Luke were really explosive and clean from the start. Josh was able to get a little more momentum where Luke might have slipped just a tiny bit, making him slow down a little, and Joshua getting that faster time and putting him in a much better position after his second run.
The leader is still Joe Goodacre, 6.67 seconds, as Josh Muring just missed it by a 10th on that last run. And Joe Goodacre's in the black shirt. He's on the left of that next pairing.
Let's see if I can get it right this time.
And he will try to improve on his leading time. Jordan Fishman is the man who will be joining him for their second and final attempts.
Both Jordan and Joe are in a great position, having already been in the 6s on their first run, so they can really put it all out there. Of course, they want to improve their time, but you got to take a risk to do so. And with already having good times, they're in a great place to really go for it.
You can see the height difference there with Joe Goodacre on the right.
Climbers on your mark.
Third of 4 pairings here in the second and final round. Joe Goodacre, your leader right now on the right. Jordan Fishman on the left.
Ready.
Goodacre trying to beat his own mark of 6.67 seconds.
Slip there for Jordan and a fall.
And then a hesitation at the end, 6.798, just not enough. So Goodacre's time of 6.67 is still the time to beat with just 1 pairing remaining. And the American record holder, John Brosler, is in that pairing.
Good job, boys.
Joe had a really nice start. He looked like he was going to maybe be faster than his previous time, but unfortunately there was a little hesitation as he had to re-grab that final hold before hitting the buzzer, which cost him a little bit of time. But another great run there from Joe Goodacre.
Joe Goodacre looked like he was on pace to possibly beat his first round time, but that last little hesitation cost him. So 6.67 seconds is still the top mark, and the final 2 climbers in the second and final round are now in position. John Brosler is your national record holder, did this course in 5.99 seconds. He and Noah Bracci will be the last 2 competitors to go, and Joe Goodacre will be watching this intently, as right now he is hanging on to a national championship.
Noah Bracci trying to manage that mental state after having not the best first run.
Climbers on your mark.
These are the last 2 men to go in the second and final round. John Brosler on the left, and Noah Bracci is on the right.
Ready.
7 seconds is the time to beat for a national championship. Brosler and Bracci to the touchpad, and John Brosler is going to do it. 6.263 for Brosler, just 0.3 of a second shy of his national record, and there is your speed national champion. Both of these athletes making up for some pretty big mistakes on their first run, but Brosler saving the best for last.
Both John and Noah were able to be super powerful and continue that momentum on the way up. No real slips, and it was just nice, efficient speed climbing all the way through. Really nice to see them perform after having not the best runs prior to, and another national championship win for John Brosler.
John Brosler, the last of 2 men to go, and he wins your national championship in the speed discipline, and we'll hear from him when we return. Back at the Sport Rock Climbing Centers in Alexandria, Virginia, where John Brosler saves his best effort for last, 6.26 seconds, and he secures the Speed National Championship, and he is with Megan Martin.
John, that was a bit of a rough start to that final round, having a slip and still getting a time, but definitely not the time you wanted. How did you end up recovering to be able to do that run that just allowed you to win?
It was a little stressful for sure, but sometimes I think it's kind of fun when it only comes down to one run. So that's how it is at all the World Cups. It's like straight head-to-head elimination. So in a way, I just thought that it was kind of cool that we could recreate that here, and not an ideal sense, I guess, but it was still a lot of fun.
And are you looking forward to hopefully being able to do some World Cups for speed this year and really put your talent to the test against some of the best international competitors?
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that I look forward to every year, of course. And I mean, being able to travel and hang out with your friends and, of course, compete is a lot of fun. And I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Well, congratulations. It's always fun to watch you climb. And you're so fast, and can't wait to see you do it again.
Thanks so much, Megan.
Thank you.
6 seconds of work gets John Brosler the 2019 USA Climbing Speed Open National Championship. The women coming up next. One national championship remains to be decided, and it is the Women's Speed Open National Championship. There are 8 climbers in the finals, and keep an eye on Piper Kelly in that final pairing. She is your current American record holder, 8.46 seconds.
Both Piper Kelly and Amanda Wooten have been speed specialists for the last few years and really been able to hone their craft when it comes to speed climbing. And they've just kind of been far above everyone else for a while. So it is nice to see as we get closer to the Olympics how a lot of the other American women are really taking speed seriously and trying to get on that same page.
And you saw Brooke Rabitu's name up there. She is one of the women who has secured a spot on the U.S. overall national team as she continues her journey towards a possible trip to Tokyo in the 2020 Summer Olympics. Mia Buwendi and Amanda Brownstein are up first. Mia Buwendi, one of the younger competitors here, at 16 years old, out of Watertown, Massachusetts. And Amanda Brownstein will be joining her in the opening pairing. The wingspan to match her 5'3" height. She hails from Decatur, Georgia.
Climbers on your mark.
Opening pairing in the first round for the women. Mia Buwendi is on the left and Amanda Brownstein is on the right.
Climbers on your mark. Ready.
Both climbers off to a solid start as it's Brownstein with a slight lead over Buwendi, but Buwendi's hanging in there.
Both women just firing for that buzzer.
And Buwendi will make the touch just ahead of Amanda Brownstein, 9.235 seconds. The two of them trying to congratulate each other on their trips down. Again, this is not an elimination format, just trying to establish the best time.
Mia and Amanda both had nice starts, and they were able to keep that momentum. Mia was able to kind of continue through those dynamic parts without losing any momentum, which put her a little bit ahead, and Amanda had a slight slip at the end. A little bit of celebrating there, showing off that camaraderie that we all love in the climbing community.
First pairing down.
Thank you.
3 more to go here in the opening round, and that's Brooke Raboutou and Lauren Baer. Raboutou in the pink top, who has already secured a spot on the U.S. overall national team, now looking to wrap up a national championship here in the speed competition. Lauren Baer, the 16-year-old out of Flower Mound, Texas. Brooke Raboutou hails from the First family of climbing, as her brother Sean is also a competitor. Both her parents are coaches and former competitive climbers themselves.
Timers on your mark.
Second of 4 pairings here in the opening round. Lauren Baer on the left, Brooke Raboutou on the right.
All right, ladies, come on, let's see it.
Both with a good jump off the start. They are even at the midway point. Raboutou and Baer neck and neck. And it's Baer 0.2 of a second ahead of Brooke Raboutou. .310 for Lauren Baer.
Little slip from Brooke Raboutou, trying to get that momentum back as she hits the buzzer. She's one of the shorter climbers, so it's really important to be as perfect as possible through those dynamic sections. If she doesn't get the hold on the dyno as quick as she needs to, then she can kind of take an extra second. So it's vital for her to make sure she uses all that momentum that she can.
Third pairing set to come out, Sienna Kopp and Emma Hunt. Sienna Kopp, just 16 years old, out of Golden, Colorado, and she was in contention for one of the spots on the U.S. overall national team coming into the weekend, but because of what Margot Hayes did in the sport competition, that ended that. Emma Hunt, 15 years old, from Woodstock, Georgia.
Timers on your mark.
Third of 4 pairings here in the opening round. Sienna Kopp on the left. Emma Hunt is on the right. And we have a false start, as it looks like Emma Hunt may have left just a split second early.
Just a little overexcited there. She left before that beep that she needed to wait for, so now they will reset and go again. She cannot false start again, otherwise she won't get a time.
The second start here for the third of 4 pairings in this opening round. Sienna Kopp on the left, Emma Hunt on the right.
Clean start by both the women.
Kopp and Hunt dead even here. Looks like Hunt is pulling ahead, and she will set the new mark to beat at 8.39 seconds.
From the looks of the excitement, it looks like either they both PR'd or one of them may have PR'd, because they are definitely extremely excited about that result.
Both of them going sub-9 on that run, but it was Emma Hunt who gets the fastest time.
Really nice start there from both the women. They were able to keep that momentum and just fly through those dynamic movements and hit every foothold and handhold perfectly to have those really, really fast times, setting them up nicely for their second run.
So Emma Hunt has her fastest time. 8.83 seconds officially. That is the best time we have seen here in the first round as the final pairing steps up. Amanda Wooten and Piper Kelly, the American record holder, at 8.46 seconds. But both of these women very capable of setting the best mark heading into that second and final round.
Exactly. We're going to see a really exciting race from these two women as they are the faster women in the group of competitors tonight.
Female American record for speed climbing. Maybe she will break that today. Let's find out.
Climbers on your mark.
Fourth and final pairing in the opening round here of the speed finals for the women. Amanda Wooten is on the left and Piper Kelly on the right. 8.83 seconds is the time to beat, and Wooten with a slip out of the gate. That's going to cost her.
Definitely trying to catch up there, though. She's not letting it stop her. She still wants a time. Oh, unfortunate fall there for Amanda.
Piper Kelly gets in at 9.047 seconds. So not good enough to beat Emma Hunt, but both of these women will get a second attempt in the second round.
Amanda Wooten started with a slip early, able to reset and recover to try to get a time. Piper Kelly clean from the get-go, keeping that forward momentum. Still not one of her faster times. I feel like she's just warming up, getting a feel, and kind of playing it safe on that first run.
Y'all still doing all right out there?
One round is down. The second round coming up next is everyone chasing Emma Hunt's time of 8.83 seconds. One round remains in the 2019 USA Climbing Speed Open National Championship for the women, and it's Emma Hunt who has the top time after their first runs at 8.83 seconds. Sienna Kopp a little more than a tenth of a second behind her as we get set for the second round. And Amanda Brownstein and Mia Buendy will be first out.
It's likely that we see faster times when these athletes take their second run. They're a bit more warmed up, a little bit of the nerves are out, especially if they got a somewhat okay time for what they think they should get. So it'll be exciting to see exactly how this all plays out.
They will switch sides. Again, these courses are identical, and this is the same course that they will climb in every event this year, and it will be the same course at the Olympic Games next year.
Climbers on your mark.
First pairing here in the second and final round. Amanda Brownstein is on the left, and it's Mia Buendy on the right.
Ready.
8.83 the time to beat as we start this second round, and Brownstein and Buendy nearly identical, and now it looks like Buendy might have a slight lead, and Buendy gets their first 9.01 seconds, so not good enough to beat Emma Hunt's top time of 8.83 seconds. And now they get the fist bump.
Excellent run by both of you.
Minor slips here from Amanda Brownstein, just not exactly getting where she wanted her feet right away, just having to take those tiny pauses. Both women had a nice start. Mia was able to keep her momentum and just efficiently place her feet the entire time, saving tenths of a second, which is what matters in speed climbing.
The first pairing is down. We have 3 pairings to go here in this final round. Next up, Brooke Rabatou and Lauren Baer. Brooke Rabatou, who has already secured her spot on the U.S. overall national team. And Lauren Baer will be joining her in this second pairing in the second round.
Climbers on your mark.
Second pairing in the second and final round. Brooke Rabatou is on the left, and it's Lauren Baer on the right.
Ready.
8.83 seconds is still the mark to beat as Lauren Baer and Brooke Rabatou. Rabatou on the left, taking a slight lead over Baer. Neither one will get to the time to beat, as it was Rabatou who got to the buzzer first. But Emma Hunt's top time survives another round. 9.331 for Brooke Rabatou.
A better run this time for Brooke Rabatou. She was more efficient with her foot placements, able to get out of that dyno a little quicker with more momentum. It didn't drag her down, and able to get to that buzzer. Not her fastest time, but a better time than her first run.
Halfway through the second and final round, Emma Hunt and Sienna Kopp. Emma Hunt in the purple top is your current leader, looking to improve on the time that she set on her first run.
Now she is the only one with a false start, so there is still that pressure there for her to make sure she doesn't false start.
Climbers on your mark.
Pairing number 3 here in the second and final round. Emma Hunt, your current leader, is on the left, and Sienna Kopp is on the right. Emma Hunt trying to improve on her 8.83 seconds, and she's off to a great start. Sienna Kopp is hanging tough. Now Emma Hunt takes the lead. Emma Hunt just missing her prior mark by a little more than 100th of a second, so 8.896 in that second run. Her time of 8.83, still the top time.
Another really nice run from Emma Hunt. Very consistent at this time, really being able to get her feet in the right position and use her momentum to get her to the top extremely fast without any hiccups.
One pairing remains, and Piper Kelly, the American record holder, and Amanda Wooten, the two top qualifiers from Saturday morning. One final chance to beat Emma Hunt. Piper Kelly's American record is 8.46 seconds. She's going to have to get close to that to win the national championship.
Climbers on your mark.
Come on, ladies.
Final pairing, Piper Kelly on the left, Amanda Wooten on the right.
Ready.
8.83 seconds. You need to beat that to win a national championship. Amanda Wooten on the right with a slight lead, may have a chance. A slip at the end will cost her, and it's 8.9 for Piper Kelly. And that means that Emma Hunt is your 2019 USA Climbing Speed Open National Champion.
Emma Hunt emotional with happiness in the crowd.
And man, it looked like Amanda Wooten had a chance, but that slip at the end just cost her.
Amanda Wooten had a much better run here. She had a lot of speed. She was really gunning for that faster time. She unfortunately had a little slip that cost her the victory, but still able to put up a better time than in her first run.
Emma Hunt is your national champion, and we will hear from her when we come back. The 2019 USA Climbing Sport and Speed Open National Championships are brought to you by The North Face, inspiring and enabling exploration since 1966. We have crowned our fourth and final national champion of the evening in the women's speed open category, and it's Emma Hunt, whose time of 8.83 seconds, just eking out a win over Piper Kelly, who's the American record holder. It's Sienna Kopp in third, and Mia Buendy comes in fourth. And Emma Hunt is with Megan Martin.
Emma, what an amazing night for you. You have won Youth National nationals in speed, but this is your very first open nationals and you're walking away with the win. What does that mean to you?
It's just so weird. Like, I just came in just trying to get a cool experience and just see how it goes, and I couldn't have expected this. Like, I wanted to do good, but wow.
Well, that's a great outlook to have, and it clearly worked for you. Going further into the future, are you looking to maybe next time get a record?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I just want to see how fast I can go.
Well, I absolutely love your attitude. I love your spirit, and I'm so excited for you, and congratulations again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Emma Hunt, your national champion in the Speed Open National Competition. We have crowned 4 national championships here in here in Alexandria, Virginia. And we have also figured out who will be the 8 individuals who have made the U.S. overall national team. And that is a big step towards representing the United States at the 2020 Summer Olympics in climbing. Ultimately, the U.S. can send at most 2 men and 2 women to Tokyo, and the field that is eligible for that honor has been narrowed down to 4 men and 4 women after these 2 competitions. The crowd sticking around to get on some of the routes that were competed on earlier. And we mentioned, first of all, let's talk about being a national champion and what an honor that is, especially in a setting like this.
The competition atmosphere in the United States has been so competitive in recent years for climbing. So to have the opportunity to win a national championships is a big deal. And we're seeing competitors younger and younger be able to walk away with those titles, and it just shows that the future of climbing is so bright. Not to sound cliche, but there's just so much potential in climbing, especially in the United States, and we're seeing it right here.
And you mentioned the future, but next year in 2020, climbing officially a Summer Olympic sport. And you talked about it at the top of the show, but a lot of these climbers have had that dream of being able to wear the red, white, and blue on the Olympic stage. And for 8 individuals, that dream got a little bit closer now, becoming a reality.
It's actually so crazy that it is a reality at this point. I mean, I remember hearing things about it and, you know, not really being sure if it would ever be something that could happen. And it's so cool to see that it is going to be something that happens. And so many of the kids that I was once coaching, and those kids had that dream of being in the Olympics, they're actually the people now who are going to be able to possibly wear the red, white, and blue jersey in the first Olympic debut for climbing.
And that U.S. overall national team is going to be introduced to the crowd here. We're awaiting that. But as far as the qualifying process, how that works now for the Olympics, the World Cup events are up next. And that is now the next big step that these athletes sort of need to navigate in order to get even closer to Tokyo.
Exactly. The athletes that are on that overall national team now have the opportunity to go to those international events in all 3 disciplines, because we're focused on the 3 disciplines because that is what Tokyo will be. And they're going to try to do as well as they can to hopefully be able to compete in those qualification competitions. And there will be 3 available to the United States athletes.
Still a long road to the Summer Games, but the 4 men and women that are about to get introduced to this crowd have cleared a big hurdle in getting to that point and looking to make history as the first U.S. Olympians in the sport of climbing. And now they are getting their official U.S. overall team jackets. You've worn one of those. What's that feeling like?
It is a great feeling to get that jacket and to be able to wear that jacket and know that you can go and represent your country internationally. There's definitely a sense of pride that comes with it. And I have to say, those jackets look really cool. They look a little cooler than the ones in previous years.
They do look pretty nice.
I'm a little jealous.
Maybe you can trade up. You still have your old one?
Yeah, I'll give my old one and trade it in for one of the new ones. I'm sure they'll be psyched to share it with me. Just kidding.
Yeah,
they would never do it.
All these climbers worked extremely hard to get to this point. And I know they're all hoping that this is not the last Team USA jacket that they are able to put on.
And I'm sure it won't be. A lot of these athletes are still quite young, so their careers could go on for many more years and hopefully many more Olympics. I mean, there's talk that in 2024 there could be more medals for climbing, and that's really exciting, especially because they're going to possibly change the way in which they have to qualify with just sport and bouldering being the combined, which would be really beneficial for a lot of these athletes.
The jackets are just about now all on.
Do you think they would give us one?
I don't think they have extras laying around, but if they do, extra large.
I'll take a medium. They all look so excited, which is awesome. And you really do see the camaraderie that is going on here with these athletes. A lot of them have grown up doing youth competitions together, dreaming of being on this open stage and walking away with a national title or on the national team and getting that opportunity to compete with the other successful professional climbers in other countries. So this is a dream come true for a lot of them.
And it really makes the dream closer to realization for the younger generation. They can now look at this and say, look, this is possible. We can actually make this happen.
Exactly. It's a great example, and that's a great group of athletes to be looking up to, not just on the wall, but in general as great humans, being kind, and really people that the younger generation can look up to.
Great ambassadors for the sport of climbing, and we certainly wish them all the best and moving forward here in the World Cup season as their road to the Summer Games continues. And momentarily they will be meeting the crowd here that is mostly stuck around.
Well, I think this is also very exciting just for anyone involved in the climbing community, because this is the first time where we're seeing the team in this way with the overall athletes. So it's kind of an inaugural thing happening right now, and I think that the community is excited about that, so they're just happy to be here and show their support.
I think Drew Ruana has already traded in his jacket for another size.
He's like, I'm not sure if this fits. It might be a little.
Just got his jacket and he's already being a diva.
Oh my God. It's okay, Josh Larson's there to fix it for him.
Yeah, you look good. You look good, Drew.
Thanks, Coach. Josh Larson and Meg Coyne right there, two of the USA climbing coaches who will be doing a lot of the traveling with the US team. And there is a training center that is just opened in Salt Lake City where both Meg and Josh will be, so the athletes can train there and train together, which is really nice.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you that. Like, now, how does the training change for these athletes as they sort of shift their focus to that World Cup season?
Definitely important for these athletes to make sure that they're not peaking too early in the season, because there is a little bit of time before those World Cups will begin. So after this competition, I think it's a good idea for most of them to take a tiny little break just to reset so that they can peak at the right time, because these international competitions that they're going to be going to are so important. So they need to be able to make sure that they're ready for them.
Nathaniel Coleman towards the top of your screen apparently was the guy holding this whole thing up as he was late to the party and just now getting his official jacket. Let's send it down to the floor for the official announcement of the U.S. overall national team. Here's PA announcer Al Smith.
All right, boys and girls, it is time. Let's bring up your 2019 USA Climbing Overall National Team. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the athletes competing against the world to represent Team USA at the 2020 Olympic Summer Games in Tokyo. For the ladies, in 4th place for the season, please put your hands together for Margot Hayes. In 3rd place for the climbing season, and on our national team, please give it up for Brooke Raboutou. And in 2nd place, Ashima Shiraishi. And in 1st, in rounding out our national team, give it up for Kyra Kandi. Give it up one more time for your ladies USA Climbing Overall National Team. Ladies, I hope you're ready to go hard because you're gonna need it at the Olympics. All right, you're free. And now, of course, for the gentlemen, finishing in 4th place for the season, please give it up for Drew Ruana. And in 3rd place, claiming his spot on the national team, Sean Bailey. And in 2nd, Nathaniel Coleman. And of course, in 1st place, hanging out over there all by himself, give it up for Zach Galla.
There are your 4 men who have the honor of making it to the U.S. overall national team. And we met the 4 women earlier. These are your 8 potential Olympians. Only 2 men and 2 women can advance to Tokyo, but the field has been narrowed down significantly. Kyra Kandi, Ashima Shiraishi, Brooke Raboutou, and Margot Hayes for the women. Zach Galla, Nathaniel Coleman, Sean Bailey, and Drew Ruana for the men. One more look at the athletes looking to make history for USA Climbing, as they have taken one giant leap towards the 2020 Summer Games. But still, a lot of work remains in front of these Olympic hopefuls. 8 potential Olympians and 4 national champions: Emma Hunt, John Brosler, Margot Hayes, and Jessie Grouper. For Megan Martin, I'm Sean Woodland saying so long from Virginia. All games airing on the ESPN networks are streaming live and archived on the ESPN app. This has been a presentation of ESPN.